Drum roll, please. It's the NAR lawsuit. The NAR lawsuit. So, for you guys, we're gonna go over the winners. We'll go over the winners and the losers in this lawsuit. And obviously, there's some like negative publicity going on about this lawsuit. Our wonderful President Biden had a quote this week, and I want to say the quote because actually he's putting out a false narrative that actually NAR came back and kind of rescinded the quote that he kind of said. And basically, I'm gonna read you guys the quote that President Biden said in a speech. This is around March 19th or March 20th, and I quote. In addition, last week, the National Association of Realtors agreed for the first time that Americans can negotiate lower commissions when they buy or sell their home. On a typical home purchase, that alone could save folks an average of $10,000 on a purchase. I'm calling on realtors to follow through on lowering their commissions to protect home buyers. And NAR came out and was really upset that Biden said that because the whole time commissions have always been negotiable.
The entire time they've always been negotiable.
So he put out that narrative that they were never negotiable, which is basically what the lawsuit kind of came out and said. And I guess let me talk a little bit about the lawsuit.
Wait, commissions for the buyer or for the listing agent?
He mentioned the word commissions. Obviously, this is his quote. He didn't elaborate.
Because
but the lawsuit is about the buyer's commission.
Right. Because I was going to say, when has buyer's agent's commission been negotiable? If MLS tells you you're going to get 2% on this house, you're going to get 2%. You can't just call them and be like, I'll take one. They're like, move, like
you can. You know. Well, you can negotiate.
You can go down. You can always go down.
Number one,
when does that happen?
But that's a different.
Well, number one, you can go down as the buyer's agent. You can always go down and get your buyer a better deal or whatever you want to do.
Credits.
And also, you remember buyers give credits and all that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, it was also negotiable on the listing.
The
agent.
listing side for sure is like
But the listing agent. Let's talk about the lawsuit and then we'll talk.
Sure.
Because the people who are maybe watching this and have never heard of this lawsuit before. So this lawsuit happened because there were homeowners in the Missouri area that got up and basically thought that listing agents or NAR was conspiring against all the home buyers that are buying homes, and basically they sued because I want to say this the right way, so I'm trying to get my words out properly, but they sued because they thought that it was. Or they thought that they basically had to, that the sellers, I'm sorry, I'm not saying this right. I'm trying to get this out the right way. Can you explain the law? Do you know the lawsuit a little bit?
They didn't know, sellers didn't know that they had an option of paying what was paid on both sides, seller's agent and buyer's agent. They didn't think they had an option, and the key part is option. So when a selling agent was coming up to a seller, they said, this is the agreement, 3 and 3, 3%, which makes up the 6, and that's where all the memes are coming from. The 6%, that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
Because here in California, we haven't been doing 3 and 3 for a long time. 2 and 2, 2.5.
I always see 2.5, 2.5. That's the most common.
Yeah. So listing agents were conspiring to inflate property values. That's what the lawsuit's basically saying, that we're inflating property values by having large commissions that are essentially guaranteed to buyers. Because a seller is sitting down with, a seller's agent or a listing agent is sitting down with the seller and saying, hey, I'm going to be charging X amount of dollars and half of that's going to go to the buyer. And they're basically saying that, there was no negotiation when it was.
It was always
It was a negotiation. So we're going to talk about the winners and kind of losers.
Wait, I'm kind of confused. You're saying the listing agents had a problem with this. Why would the listing agents want to cause trouble in their own commission pool?
No. You
said the listing agents are conspiring because they're saying you're inflating values. I don't understand that.
Because they're guaranteeing commission to a buyer, supposedly.
But there's times where a listing agent's making 3 and you look on MLS and the buyers get 2. So it's uneven. The listing agent makes more.
But you're proving my point.
So why would the listing agents complain?
The sellers. The sellers.
The sellers are complaining.
Are the ones complaining.
They're complaining that they had to pay the buyers.
So
but it's the listing agent that control the negotiation because they're the ones that signed.
Yeah.
They're the ones that negotiated
They get the
on
agreement.
behalf
Yeah,
of the buyers that are eventually going to come.
I'm surprised I'm not even I don't even have a real estate license, and I don't even have a house to sell right now, but it's like I'm surprised a seller doesn't understand like that they can negotiate a commission, because you negotiate everyone's commission on like almost anything you do in life. Like all commissions are always almost negotiable.
So, yeah.
It's like how does all of a sudden they're like, oh, we thought we had to go 3-3. To me, it's a strategy from what I understand. And you talk to other agents, it's a strategy, because some houses, especially in some exclusive areas too, if you put the BAC, which is a buyer's agent commission for those on the BAC, low, you actually won't attract as many people, because the buyers are like, yo, I have a pool of people that want homes, and I'm not going to show them yours because I'm making less. So it's a strategy to put more. And if you put 4%, boom, you're going to have your house done right away. You'll get a top tier client from maybe the best broker in the entire city. So it's like so strange.
Exactly. So that's
strategy.
That's a point why that's on my that's the loser side. That's why sellers will actually lose. That's one of my things that I wrote down. But I want to so there's two main business practices that are changing because of this NAR lawsuit. They've agreed on a $418 million settlement. In principle, it still has to be confirmed by a judge in July, but I assume that
July 15th.
It's getting adopted.
I assume the judges. Everybody's already acting like the judge is already going to sign off on this. I'm going to read off the NAR website, the National Association of Realtors. They wrote two key things that are going to be changing because of this practice. They said NAR agreed to create a new MLS rule prohibiting offers of compensation on the MLS. This would mean that offers of compensation could not be communicated via an MLS, but they could continue to be an option. Consumers could pursue off MLS through negotiation and consultation with real estate professionals. And number two, NAR also agreed to create a new rule requiring MLS participants working with buyers to enter into written agreements with their buyers before the buyer tours a home. NAR has long encouraged its members to use written agreements to help consumers understand exactly what services and value they provide and for how much. So basically, number one means that the commission for buyers will not be on public display, but you could they're still allowing a commission. And then number two is basically saying that they want you to pretty much sign a buyer exclusivity agreement with the buyers. So those two things are happening. That's on the NAR website. It's for everybody to look at. That's what they're saying. The business practices are going to change. In terms of them removing the buyer's agent commission, I mean, I think first of all, it's obviously a huge deal now. What they're also saying is that now buyers need to pay for their own commissions,
their own representation,
and I want to talk about like the winners and the losers of that.
Yeah.
The winners, in my opinion, the winners and the losers of this NAR settlement. The winners are the sellers.
Yeah.
And the lawyers, because the lawyers are about to make bank.
Yeah, that's it.
I wish I was one of these attorneys.
Yeah. I have a couple opinions, if I can.
Yeah, on the winners or the.
No,
let me go through the losers.
Okay, because I wanted to talk about the buyer side for a sec, but whenever.
And then the losers, first time buyers, high end buyers, and I can argue that the sellers also will be hurt, and it's also theoretically possible that they could sell their homes at less value because now you no longer have an agent with buyers that's bringing buyers to your home, because agents no longer want to work. And especially, I don't see especially the high end luxury homes. And luxury, I would say, is usually what the 2 million plus market. These buyers don't want to shop Zillow. They don't want to shop Redfin. They want to actually like be educated on an area, and they want to actually go with the real buyers. This is a lot of money, man. This is $2.5 million, $3 million for high end. For first timers, we're working. That's the majority of our business.
Right.
These guys can barely get in. They're struggling to afford their closing costs, and now you want them to pay another $12,000 to $14,000 in a commission to an agent?
It's a huge lose for the buyer.
That's one thing.
Even if you get cheap representation, you're going to get what you pay for. You're going to get cheap representation. You're going to get lackadaisical, lackluster agent that doesn't care. Let's say he's walking away with 1% on this deal. You're buying a condo for $500,000. He looks at that and goes, man, I was making 25 a pop. Now I'm doing this. He's not even going to show as many homes. He doesn't care as much. I mean, there are so many different ways this is going to change up the market. But something that crossed my mind just now is like, when I'm thinking about the buyers is, if you're a buyer's agent, so it's possible that this can change nothing in the sense that, great, MLS doesn't show the BAC amount on there. They're going to call as an agent, and you're going to negotiate it directly with the lister, and you're going to figure it out. And I even had an agent tell me, oh, we can call. They'll tell me on the phone, you're going to get 2.5%. And then now you're back in business, right? Let's say that happens. But what if you're getting 1%? As that agent, are you not steering your buyer? Because how heavy is the steering going to be? You're going to not even bring up that property. But what happens if a buyer goes, hey, Chris, you're representing me. I found this great house on Redfin that I love. I want to see it. Little did I know, you've already called and you found out you're only making 1% when you're used to a 2.5% nut on a deal, right? And now, what are you doing? Because now you're pissed.
Well, you can...
He's pissed now. Because now he's going to say, well, I'm only making 1, so you owe me 1. Hey, Chris, I can't pay you 1. Do you not want to represent me anymore? That's the problem.
As the realtor, he's going to have to negotiate in his terms when he makes an offer for you that I want 2.5%. The problem is now you're going to... From the seller.
No, I know, but what if the seller's like, I'm only giving 1? I'll get another buyer's agent that's going to
the whole point of this lawsuit is they want him to negotiate as the realtor.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. They don't want it written in stone. They want him to negotiate his fee.
Well, I can tell you right now, you'll never see probably 3% ever again.
Oh, it's gone forever.
That's already gone. So they basically eliminated anything 3 and higher, rare, and you probably won't see 2.5 anymore. And I think what's going to happen is, with time, let's say 6-8 months to a year from now, as everything in life with implementation stabilizes, you'll probably see an average of 1.5 to 2%.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Only, and it's going to become a modern practice and a common practice where you call. Okay, we'll give you 1.5 to 2%, depending on the terms of the offer. Maybe it goes down. What if it's such a beauty offer? You'll make a little less because the amount of work gone into it is less. That's basically, I think, where the industry just kind of sits now, moving forward. You know what I mean?
And I was also I like that point, but before I forget, I was thinking about a situation where, because this is against the MLS, and I don't know if this would be a viable option, but Redfin and Zillow, they control a lot of the data, right? But that data is fed through them through the MLS, because they're technically...
They pick up the data.
They're technically a brokerage, and they pick up the data from the MLS.
Right.
What if I work for Zillow, or I work for Redfin, and I'm now a Redfin real estate buying agent, a listing agent, and it's not listed on the MLS. And now, because I'm not part of this lawsuit, and I leave NAR. Actually, I think Redfin's already left NAR, but they leave NAR. Can they create their own MLS and their own? They're a private company.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, they can create.
This is only for NAR's boundaries, right?
Yeah, we're selling real estate. This is not, we're a separate private entity. We're a listing agency. You can list your home on here, and we're going to offer a commission publicly to a buyer's agent. They just have to have a real estate license.
That's so funny. That reminds me of people that left YouTube to do the other podcasts on Kick or whatever, and they just create their own rules now. And
that's what I'm saying. They create because they have a ton of money. Zillow and Redfin, they can collude with each other. I shouldn't say the word collude, but you know what I mean.
They can team up. They can
essentially
be like, hey,
team
let's
up,
create our own database.
Them and
that's what's going to happen.
And then even Realtor.com. I don't know if Realtor.com, but I think they're probably a part of that. So I don't know. Again, I don't know the details of the legality of the lawsuit, but because I'm thinking they're just legal, they're separate entities. They're not they sell real estate. And if you want to sell real estate with us, we're the biggest company in the world. And I'm going to list your home, and I'm going to put a buyer's commission of 3% or 4%. And I'm going to get a ton of buyers, and my stuff's on the internet. Everybody's going to see mine because everybody logs on Zillow. So
educate me real quick on this. So is NAR under NAR basically every realtor brokerage or office or company that we've ever almost heard of or worked with, are they all basically under NAR and they follow under NAR's umbrella policies? And then now you're saying that, so like a Keller Williams, like if you leave NAR, now you basically aren't bound by this lawsuit whatsoever. So if one by one,
so there's people
every
left
Berkshire,
NAR.
Keller, all these people leave, you can create just a competitive to NAR and then just jumpstart this back up
so
again.
Speaking
Is that what you're saying?
Not everybody's a part of NAR.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Remax has left NAR,
Yeah.
Redfin has left NAR, and the big one actually that I wanted to talk about was it was Berkshire, which is Home Services of
So
America.
people are already adapting to this and they're leaving
No.
and they're going to probably
But
just create their own system, right? That can just show there's no lawsuit saying
No,
that.
in the court right now, it's I wrote down here the plaintiffs on that Kansas City, Missouri, the Kansas City District Court, that case that we were just talking about, that bid case, they've already named Home Services to pay $4.7 billion, which is Berkshire Hathaway, in damages this coming fall. So it hasn't been secured yet, but they're asking Berkshire for money. This is such a money grab the way I read it, but I don't know. It's just, I know it's going to change the industry. But what we're saying is not, your specific question is everybody under NAR.
Right, not anymore,
No,
yeah.
no,
So if
not
you're not
everybody's-
under NAR and you leave, what are you under? What binds you to actual laws?
Well,
and
you're under,
principles?
we're under here, we're under the California Association of Realtors. Which
So
is
CAR isn't affiliated with this, so CAR isn't like if you left
I'm
NAR,
not probably
could
the
you
best
still...
person to answer this.
Because that's what I'm trying to figure. Because if it's that simple, where one entity is, and people underneath it are saying, we have to do this now, and everyone just leaves.
That's what I was saying. Why can't,
It's almost like golfers leaving the PGA Tour to go to Live.
Yeah.
That's literally what it is. Everyone's going to leave. They're going to go create Live. They're going to get way more money. They're going to just eventually get to the point where you're now better than the PGA Tour. That's potentially what's going
I
to
get
happen.
it, which is basically creating their own MLS.
Yeah.
And now
Right.
we don't operate
Yeah, like,
under
why would you-
anybody's
yeah.
rules. Well, now you got to go sue Zillow. Oh, you gotta,
Well, the problem is now if you're an
things
agent.
the right
Well, here's
way.
the thing. If you're an
But they're a
agent.
private company. They're not like, you can't. I don't know if you could. I guess lawyers.
Well,
would do
dude,
whatever
if you're an
they want.
agent, isn't some of the data not going to show up? So if guys like, I want to find a house in this area, and now you're competitors with MLS, and somebody lists on MLS, you won't see it on Zillow's platform. So the problem is you're cutting addresses and zip codes out, right?
I would kind of like that, because then maybe you might need a better real estate agent. That's like not like, because now when you search for homes on any of these big syndications, you can see everybody's homes. I would rather have it where it's a little more proprietary for real estate agents. Honestly, it ups their value a little bit, because let's be honest, not every real estate agent really provides value, and that's actually the problem. That not
No, it's
everybody.
definitely a
So-
very lucrative career, and
If you could get by,
It's a low barrier to entry,
Low-
and it's very
yeah.
lucrative. For
low barrier.
people who
Lucrative.
actually-
Yeah, but
I
there's
think
really
I
good
think
people
buyers
at what they
agents
do,
work
don't get
way
me
harder
wrong.
too. I think listing agents is everyone's dream because it's almost simple. Here's a listing, stage it, music,
Yeah.
tacos, boom, maybe make a ton of money. But buyer agent has to drive around for
Like,
2-3 years.
I'm just gonna say this for the record.
You know?
There are good agents, of course, that we all very likely work with.
Yeah.
Then there's agents that we've met for the first time that we don't know anything about, or like, kind of like, here's my agent.
There's
talk to
always
him.
bad apples.
And there's some bad agents like those that you've never worked with, that the buyer's asking you questions.
Yeah.
And this is the one I hate the
Or
most.
they're lazy. Yeah.
No, this is the one I hate the most. Like, I'm doing their job too.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I've never worked with this agent, and then the buyer's like, hey, Chris, what is the loan contingency?
Yeah.
Hey, when do I do my deposit? How soon? Can I do it?
Yeah. I get that too. What's the EMD? I'm like, EMD. I mean, the agent's going to tell
Yeah,
you 3%.
like, why
That's
why
like, I don't know.
why isn't your agent
Anywhere
going
from
over
1 to 3%, depending on how aggressive
Yes.
you want to be.
that, or
Like-
or how soon do I have to do it after my offer gets
Yeah.
accepted? Or
Do you ever get questions about like inspection? I'm like, dude,
Yeah, of course,
I'm like,
yeah.
first of all, I'm not going to be there for you for the
Yeah,
inspection.
yeah.
I don't hire an inspector. I
we
don't
do it out of
walkthrough.
courtesy. We do it out of common courtesy. However, you and I, all of us know it's not our job. It's not in our scope of work.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. This might sound, some people might rub the wrong way, but I think a really good loan officer or mortgage broker knows both sides of the business.
Correct.
And is significantly more advantageous than a really good realtor, because even really good realtors don't really know anything about loans. They don't know anything about the conditions of the loans. They don't know anything about DTIs, finances, and all that. But if you're a really good LO, you're basically almost a borderline real estate agent. I think all of us could start doing real estate literally tomorrow
The
and do
contracts,
better
yeah.
than a realtor that knows nothing about loans trying to all of a sudden just start doing a listing agent. I'm talking about somebody that doesn't have their own book of business.
Well, the point
Do
is
it.
knowing your market, though.
Yeah, it's like, because we all
Being
talk
an-
real estate constantly,
Well, I
but
know,
some of my
but
agents don't
being
talk
an expert
anything
in your
about
market
loans. Yeah.
is where
Yeah.
real estate agents
Yeah.
really going to show.
Also,
the
agents
value.
work with one product, which is the home. We work with like 14
I know,
different
it's different.
mortgage products.
And actually,
you know?
it's a different ball game. And actually, that was one of my things that I wanted to talk about, because it's a different ball game. that we've also talked about how some realtors are going to try to get their mortgage license to try to do essentially
to make up some of those losses
to
from
make
NAR.
to make up some money. And obviously we've ran into a lot of real estate agents who are trying to do mortgages, and they end up realizing that it actually is too. And I like that the NMLS did this, National Mortgage Licensing Service, whatever it's called. They've created an actual separate career, a separate entity that manages the mortgage licensing to become a career. And anyway, real estate agents, I feel like they're looking for a little money grab, and mortgages are easy, I'll do them. That's fine. Again, you'll continue to do less business. I always believe that the person doing both is doing less business.
Yeah.
And that's nobody's ever been able to prove me wrong about that. So
I think the person that was an agent that had good business is doing less business now. But if somebody that was a loan officer that's now actually getting real estate on the side, that's actually a benefit to them because the commissions are so much bigger.
No, I know that. No, but it's we talked about that. It's difficult. Yeah. It's difficult to go that way,
right? Yeah,
because you cut off your agent relationships.
Yeah,
because you're going consumer direct, and most loan officers are not consumer direct.
Yeah,
most. I mean,
in an ideal situation, you're a loan officer that makes good money, and then you get into real estate, and then you really kill it as a realtor, and then you give up being an LO. That's really what you do.
I think what's going to happen with these first-time home buyers or people who don't have the means to pay for their own representation, it's going to limit the amount of homes you're going to be able to look at or make offers on.
Yeah.
Because if all of a sudden we have 40 listings in an area code, right? Let's just say, and 25 of them offer buyer agent compensation and the rest don't. Well, your buyer's agent is probably going to take you to the ones that offer something, right?
Well, let me ask you this, Chris. What if, and you as well, what if you're a seller and you have a listing agent and you have a hot house on the market, right? That has 15, 20 buyer's agents and their clients that are interested in it. What if some of those agents are they're in negotiation? What if one guy's like, I'll do this for 0.5%, directly saving that seller cash? It offsets the offer price, and you're going to start getting business. So what if you became an agent, a buyer's agent, who every single house you did, while everyone's trying to negotiate 2 to 3% commissions and get aggressive, you come in and you undershoot and say, I'll work for 25 basis points.
It's
and
difficult.
You become like the king of the buyer's agent. And the seller's like, hey, I just saved $20,000 on the sales price of my house.
Right,
That's a good point.
It is, but the amount of work that it takes for the buyer's agents to do their job correctly is not equivalent to 25 basis points, for people that don't know what that means. It's
what if my market every house is $1 million?
That's only $2,500.
That's what I'm saying. But there's like Redfin agents that walk away with $1,500 sometimes on these deals.
I know, but
they're volume deals.
There's salaried employees.
No, I know. But sometimes you do 25 bips, you do 50 bips. This guy does 75 bips. The point is, there'll be an agent out there, and there's lawyers out there that work for pennies. There's LOs that'll work.
You're not going to get good people to work. You're not gonna find like luxury at the 99-cent store. We always talk about that. It's not going to happen. It's just you're not. If you want the best stuff, you're going to go to Nordstrom's or you're going to the 99-cent store. Target. Which one do you want to go to? It's going to be your choice.
You're going to get what you pay for.
And also, you need a bunch of stuff. For
the
cheap guy needs to do mad volume.
No, for sure, but it doesn't have to be It doesn't have to. I'm not saying it has to be necessarily like your MO, but to get a deal done, if everyone's trying to do, because wouldn't the agent tell you?
It's going to be your MO.
No, but wouldn't the agent tell you?
You helped my friend for 2%.
Yeah, for sure.
You helped my friend.
No, here's the thing. Wouldn't the agent tell you? Because the agents talk to each other. The listing agent goes, good. Look, I have 4 offers on the table, but their buyers all want 2.5%. And I'm talking to them. I'm the agent. I go, you know what? If you accept my client's offer, tell the seller, I'll do it for 1.5 or 1, which is still a lot of money. It could be 10 grand, right? I'll do it for 1. What if that's the type of steering that happens in the future? It becomes commission steering on the transaction.
Also,
to me, that's worse. Right? Okay, here you go. Congratulations, you're an escrow. The guys are like, why? We gave you a good offer. Well, this guy wasn't far from you, but he also charged us 1.5% out of my seller's pocket directly less. You do the math, that's $12,500, right, on the $1 million sale.
I know, but you're assuming everything else is apples to apples, contingencies, financing, or it's cash.
Let's say they are. Let's say you're right there.
You're assuming if everything is
it doesn't have
exactly
to be
the same.
No, you could be right there.
You're an investor, or some people want a nice owner to buy their house, and they don't want an investor to buy their house. There's there's little intricacies with every.
That's true, but what I'm saying will happen because thousands and thousands and thousands of transactions are always happening, and there will be those where you're right there with the other guy. I'm in the middle of that right now, where it's me and 2 people, and we're right there. We're trying to work on just removing an appraisal contingency to get there. So the guy's like, look, I'll cut my commission in half. Let's close it.
I mean, there's going to be
you know,
exceptions to the rules. There's always
but it becomes messy, man. It just becomes this huge negotiation battle. You have to be
they will have to be better.
I mean?
Another thing I don't like. I don't like the second part of the lawsuit, or the second part of what NAR said, is they're really encouraging people to sign a buyer exclusivity agreement. And what that means is, when you guys work with an agent, that basically you have to work with that agent if you do buy a house. They legally have a right to a commission, or whatever commission is going to be on the house that you buy. So, and obviously it's going to say maybe for 90 days.
Yeah, it's usually like days, 3 months, and then you can...
Whatever it's going to be, but the whole point is that you're tied to that agent. And most people are loyal, but there is some bad apples that basically they want to work, whoever gets me the best deal. Yeah. Well, if you really truly like this guy or like this girl, this woman that's the realtor that's showing you the houses, and you trust her, you should just work with her.
Look, third or fourth time buyers, let's be honest, they've gone through the experience of buying a home. When you're dealing with the first, maybe second time buyers, they're so emotional that if they feel like this agent wasn't answering their calls at 11 o'clock at night, they're going to be like, I'm going to find someone else, because they want that type of attention.
That's the problem, because what this NAR thing is doing, it's almost making it that you really do need to sign an exclusivity, because again, they're going to, as a buyer, you're going to shop. We already have a problem with shopping in our industry. Imagine on the real estate side, you're shopping, and let's say they thought you were working with one of your realtors, not to mention names, like they thought they were working with them, you get a call, yeah, dude, he found another agent that's willing to work for pennies. But the exclusivity is almost, you need it from the agent side, but like you said, a first-time home buyer, what if that agent is unhappy or is lazy or doesn't want to show enough properties, or the commissions aren't enough, so he's thinking greedy and he is giving bad service? Well, now you're locked in for 90 days or 120 days, like you said. So it screws both sides in a way, because the agent's going to lose the client and the client can't leave the agent that he wants to leave.
Anyway, it'd be a good practice if somebody started a business where all you do is represent buyers. You do it for cheap. Just do it for cheap.
Well, that's literally what I was saying.
It's kind of like Redfin. Hold on, you do it for cheap, but you're not going to be making the money that Redfin was making on these deals, right? So you just got to go after a big amount of volume and charge like 0.5% on the buyers.
That's what I was saying. There's a guy. I literally was just saying that. You were like, that's not going to happen. But I was like, there's a guy that will come in. He'll make a business out of low margin purchases. Yeah,
that's scale though. You got to that's
just
at scale.
Just like the loan officer that gives the best rates and he walks away with $1,500 a loan.
That's basically what that is in our industry. That's the call center loan officer.
Of course, I mean call center realtors.
But that's basically what Redfin is. Redfin is I hate to say, they're basically the call center loan officer. They take leads. They don't really have.
They get a lot of leads, by the way. Each Redfin agent gets 20 leads a week.
I get it, but they're not. They don't generate business. They work for a company.
Yeah.
And they provide a service, and I'm sure they provide great service and all that. But they're technically employees. They're not.
Well, they're the Loan Depot of real estate.
I get. They're not contractors like traditional real estate agents are, that are generating and cultivating relationships. Yeah. They're cultivating Redfin's relationship to this client, and they're just an intermediary between that. But
hey, what's Redfin gonna do now that they're not gonna make that commission anymore on some deals?
They're gonna have to figure it out.
They're gonna renegotiate people's salaries.
Yeah.
Or they're gonna give them less because you were getting a salary plus a small commission. Dude, I've been told like some people are making like literally $1,000. One of my Redfin realtors was like, because you also have to give a credit. So they get approved for credits, right? If you want to give a credit, Redfin approves your credit. The guy literally was like, I'm making $1,000 on this. He showed a house for like a year. I'm like, I would leave instantly if I was you, because how are you working this hard?
It's the issue we talked. It's hard for him to leave. He works for an organization and he doesn't have.
You're saying it's hard for him to leave because he's getting fed, but if he was
hard
to
leave because he's getting fed, he has to start all over again.
But if he was to leave and do one deal or 2 deals in a year, he would offset what he's getting from the Redfin, right?
I know people that are struggling getting 1 or 2 deals. I gotta have some balls.
Yeah, like
I'm running into.
I'm doing this. I worked for a year. I make $1,000. Really? Go farm for like 60 to 90 days or 120 days. Close 1 deal. You'll make $5. That's
not easy. You're making it.
No, it's not easy. But like, you're in the business where we're in a relationship building business.
Days of not
so leave
money?
The industry then if that's the kind of business you're going to be in. You know what I mean? Go be an loan officer then because it's transactional. Like you're in real estate and you're trying to be like a Loan Depot employee for real estate.
I know, but
how the
4
hell does that
months,
make sense?
It's very.
It's like, I made 50 grand this
Dude,
year
people
doing
have
real estate. I
families
did
and,
12
like-
transactions. You're like, dude, what?
But the upside to the Redfin agents is that they get leads. They don't have to go door knocking.
And
They don't have to
they're
go
behind a large like
They don't have to go,
corporation.
like-
Yeah, it's the name.
brand,
Obviously,
the
it's the name. It's not
brand.
even the
It's the
leads because you can
brand.
go buy leads from anywhere. You can go buy 1,000 spreadsheet leads. You can set up
But
your
they've
own
got to
drip
be pretty.
system.
I mean, they're
It's
on
leads or
Redfin,
leads.
they
It's
wanna-
it's the Redfin name.
They love the brand.
It's
yeah,
the
yeah.
brand.
And-
I'm with Redfin. We work for nothing, basically. That's like how the sale is going to be.
On top of that, they see these people versus you. When you take an online lead, you never the in-person relationship is
Yeah.
unmatched. You'll never be able to match it because you're
No.
on you're behind your desk.
Well, it's harder for us.
100%.
I have to sell myself
That's
aside
what I'm
behind a
saying.
phone. You
Their
know?
lead, as long as so these Redfin agents, they always want to get. They want to show the house.
Yeah.
Because they show the house, they get that person sees their face and they know they're a real human being and they're
Right.
ready to help. Versus you're just an email or
Yeah.
a text. You're nobody.
Well, Redfin
I can
agents,
ignore you a lot easier.
You know, Redfin
basically.
agents, they're like, their whole MO, right, is like, it's all about service because they straight up tell their clients, like, look, we don't barely make any money on these deals. And the client's like, great, because clients love knowing that that somebody's just not making any money off of them. It gives them, like,
But
it
they
makes them
haven't-
feel
they- but
better.
they didn't-
They're
they're
all
buying
about, like,
agents,
service.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, it's not like we're another agent that's making 30 grand. But it's like also,
But
that
you are
agent,
making the 30
no, but it's like
grand.
also that agent that is making his 2.5 point is possibly working not only significantly harder, but he's probably so much better at what he does. He probably has such a unique way of selling, negotiating, getting you credit, making sure your inspection goes through. Because let's be honest, like, it's a lot, as an agent that has a steady book of business, as an independent agent, you're going to be really good as you do compared to, like, some, like, call center realtor.
No, but it's the
you know?
difference is that I'm working with 3 people. You're working with 30.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be
Yeah.
able to obviously provide a way better, no matter what you do.
I told
I
them.
can provide
From the, you're saying from the agent that's making his 2.5 to
the
3%?
independent agent that's
Right.
only working with 3 people per month versus
Yeah.
you have 30 homes to show. You have, it's just
Right.
your mind is
Yeah.
convoluted with all.
What was
these,
that
like,
company?
scenarios.
Dude, Purple Bricks. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
yeah,
I was
yeah.
working with
Forgot
Purple
about
Brick
that.
Realtors back in the day.
Forgot
One
about
of
them.
these mid-level agents, right? Like, I'm saying mid-level because, again, like, I've only been in it for 3 years. She had, like, do you remember? It was, like, 11 listings. I showed up and did, like, 2 or 3 of her open houses by myself as an LO. There was no realtor there. I had the lockbox. I actually put up purple brick sign. This was when I was younger and I was like, I had to do
Remember
whatever to get
Purple
business.
Brick?
Now I would never do anything like
Yeah, no,
that.
they're
This
gone.
was back in the grind
Yeah.
days. But I'm like, dude, this girl has so many listings. She's not even there. People would walk in. I'm doing tours as a loan
She has
officer.
11 listings. She can't be at all.
Well, that's what I'm
a
saying.
lot,
She,
yeah.
she
Only
couldn't even.
one
She
person.
couldn't even get other agents or even a transaction coordinator to go do it. So it's like, as an LO, yeah, I was handling the listings like I was the realtor. They're like asking me real estate questions, and in my head, I'm like, there's no way this is good business. This is like all just meager
Okay,
business.
here's a hypothetical.
Like, what the hell is
Here's a
this?
hypothetical, and I have one of my realtors who told me that flip property, you know, those turnkey ones, even they fix them up. The investor recently updated the buyer's agent compensation to 0 in anticipation. Okay, what do you think happens to those homes? Do they sit longer? Do they, like, what do you think happens to those?
Of course, they're going to sit longer.
I don't know.
Especially right now, because right now the rule is not in effect. So now it just looks like you're not paying a commission. Once the rule is in effect, it'll be normal. In that category, that box, you won't see it anymore.
won't even see it.
So it won't matter. But right now, where you see the box and it says 0, obviously, I'm not showing this
That's
home.
true, yeah,
They show the home for free.
What about the buyer that goes directly to the agent to try to get double-ended to get their offer accepted? Because that happens a lot, and we've all had that happen to our agents too. More and more buyers are doing
now
that.
it's a problem.
Now it's a problem.
Now it's a problem because it hasn't been negotiated previously. So now
Correct.
you want the listing agent to go ask the seller for money so they can represent this buyer that showed up?
Can they
Good.
renegotiate? They can
No.
renegotiate.
What if the listing agent
That's what I'm
already
saying.
has her 3% negotiated,
Yes.
the buyer's 0? The buyer directly comes to the listing agent. The listing agent's, all right, let's get escrow done at 3%. She
I know,
still
but
makes it
I won't
3%.
be able
There is
to
no-
represent you because I'm not being compensated to do that.
Exactly. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. Listing agent's not going to do
Why
it.
would I-
You're saying there's no extra. So you're saying it's the commission that even motivates them in the first place to try to even represent the buyer at all.
I don't like to say commission, but it's like their salary or it's how they get compensated
working
for
for
doing
free,
their job.
yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not working for free.
Yeah.
So you're gonna go to the listing agent and say, "Hey, listing agent, can you help me for free?"
But what if the guy goes to the listing agent, he's super qualified, ready to go, and says, I want you to represent me, and she's like, all right, let's tack another 0.5. I'll do this for 3.5 all day. Get the listing done, because at the end of the day,
They
all
probably-
agents want to do is close listings really fast.
They
don't
probably
care
will,
about anything
but-
else besides let's close it,
Well,
let's make our money, let's go to the next listing. It's a business, right?
Yeah,
We're
but
in a
even
business,
now, when
you
they're
know?
making the 5% or 6% commission, my buyers, I have buyers who've gone to listing because they think they're getting a better deal.
Yeah.
And they know, and I know, guys, they're not actually representing.
Yeah, they represent the seller at first.
They're not representing you.
Right.
Don't think that
Yeah,
they
to
are.
anybody that thinks that a listing agent's going to be in your
They're human beings.
on your side
doing,
and your best interest, no.
Their best interest is the seller.
But I could see that situation where the seller's like, I don't really want to pay this buyer's agent anything. Maybe the buyer's agents want 1%, 1.5%. The listing agent, ends up a situation where she can, quote unquote, double lend it. She goes to them, says, look, you're paying me 2.5, 3. Add an extra 50 basis points. I got the buyer. Let's get this escrow done.
But that has to be renegotiated.
Renegotiated. Yeah, it's a one phone call though.
But that
hey,
move.
Tom, hey, Chris. I got this buyer. He's fully qualified. I talked to his loan officer. We can open escrow. He wants to do 20-day escrow. He wants me to represent him, and I'm gladly to do it for 0.5%. Would you rather have that or stay on the market and your house is rotting the days on market keeps going up?
Here's the problem with the conflict of interest. 2022, I had Avalos. I had a buyer in Riverside, and she thought that it would be best to go with the listing agent, right? So it turns out the backstory was the listing agent was selling his mom's house, right? Whatever. We found the backstory later. Inspection came back. There was mold. There was a massive leak in the house. The insurance company had it on record of the insurance claim. The listing agent called me because he's representing both sides. He goes, hey, I'm not going to tell her because it'll freak her out. Does that sound like somebody's thinking of you in their best interest?
No, the problem with that particular story is that it's his house.
I get that point, but what I'm trying to paint is that...
So that's like he's selling his own house.
That's worse, but what I'm saying
Mom's
is
house
that
is his house. It's
he
his
doesn't have the buyer's best interest in mind when you're double ending.
I think you have to disclose that on the MLS as well, that you are related to the seller. Actually, I'm almost 100% sure.
Really?
I don't know that part.
How far does the relation go?
I don't know if you disclose that.
Nephew, uncle, godson, granddaughter, like...
I don't know how far it goes, but definitely a mother-son.
Okay.
Definitely a mother-son. That's as close as it gets.
What about like son-in-law?
I think
I don't know, but like,
no, because it's like, dude, like, oh, my daughter married a realtor,
anyway,
and he's gonna help sell her house. Do you have to disclose that?
You have to disclose a relationship.
Okay.
If you have a family relationship,
or like you have an affiliation or something, like
affiliation or a family, because then you're biased, like 100% biased.
Or the ones that I have had where a listing agent represents both sides. Guess who ends up helping the buyer more? And going through the questions and answers.
The
loan officer.
Yeah.
So all the listing agents.
Dude, we're consultants, we're advisors, we're therapists.
I'm going through
counselors.
that now.
The point is that
we're
the listing
realtors.
Not gonna
I'm
do
like
their
a
job.
real estate broker at this point. Sometimes it's just like it's unbelievable some of the questions.
It's hard to
you
do
have
both
deal
sides.
with.
It's hard to do both good. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
The listing agent's going to do a good job at listing and the listing side, the seller side, but it's hard to do both well. As when you're quote unquote double or representing whatever you call it.
It is. It's like hard to like date
I just
two
feel
girls
like
at one
it's
time.
such a bad. It's so
you gotta hide one.
It's so just unadvisable for a realtor that has good business to be like, I want to start doing loans now, because it's a fact that you're leaving real estate quality money on the table, which is 4 to 5 times.
I just don't like money grabs. That's what I don't like
it's
either.
Like, but it's like not even a grab. Like LO's money grab is because of volume for the most part. Not everyone's getting 3% on a deal, giving somebody a 7% interest rate. It's like you're making $3,000 to $7,000 on average every single loan, regardless of loan amount. But a realtor is making like $10,000 to $25,000.
Look.
And even more. So, like, why would you even want to get into loans where it's so much harder,
I told you this when it happened. NAR, the settlement with NAR, is the Realtors Dodd-Frank 2008 moment for loan officers. You had loan officers who were used car salesmen who had absolutely no knowledge of anything.
No experience
making $90,000 a month back in 2006.
Or
more. In 2006, 2005 for a good 7 years and made a lot of money. Obviously, a lot of them lost it. But my point is, you needed no skill, no knowledge, you didn't need to be very good at what you did to make crazy amount of money. That's what's happening now. Sorry.
Yeah.
Agents now are going to have to step up, and the good agents are going to rise. The good buyers agents are going to rise and are going to show their worth, are going to show their value, and they're going to probably. Let's just say they take a hit on average. He said 1.5 we're going to float. Let's just say we float around 1.5 to 2.
They're gonna. It's for sure.
It's going to come down a little bit.
You'll never see 3.
It's going to come down a little bit, but the buyer's agent,
not in our market.
the good buyer's agents are going to still earn their worth, but the ones that are not good are going to get out of the business. They're going to be doing, going to Carl's Jr.
Or becoming a listing agent is going to be considered like God mode, and everyone's going to fight for listings, and then they're going to heavily farm.
There's only so many.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the farming is going to be out of control. That's like how listing agents talk shit to each other. Is like, you can't farm my community, or like I'm farming this. dude, you're going to have 100 realtors with deep pockets just like you who were buyer's agents. They're going to farm the crap out of your community now because the listing agent's going to be guaranteed their 2 to 3% for sure. But also, have we even talked about the sellers that are just going to not even pay really listing agents much or list through like a service like Redfin and they're going to only give Redfin $5,000. That's another thing that can shake it up too is like listing agents are going to also get paid a little bit.
One thing that I really want to mention is that people think that home prices are going to come down, and I want to tell you right now, mark my word, home prices are not going to come down because of this NAR lawsuit. Things are going to stay steady, and they're going to continue. Especially, I don't know the whole United States, but we're in Southern California. Yeah. Things are not going to change. I still think realtors are still going to get paid, and they're going to get paid their fair share. Yeah. I still think it'll be the 2.5. Why? Because sellers have already been conditioned for the last 50 years, I don't know, 100 years, whatever, to pay a commission when they sell their house. And also, you're not going to get top dollar. If you want to be cheap, you're not going to get top dollar. So actually, your home prices are, like, you might not get top. If you want top dollar, you need to give a commission. So, because the thing is, the seller, some of these cheap people, they're going to want to list at the top dollar and, I don't have to offer a commission and I can get all the money.
Right.
So
all of that's going to happen during summer, a lot of confusion.
But anyway, my whole point was prices are not going to come down.
Right.
Because of this, it's just a shakeup. People are going to learn to get used to it. Like you said,
they'll adapt. They'll implement new things. Like you said, people are already leaving NAR, which is crazy to hear. They're going to create their own separate kind of force, and then they'll start advertising commissions, or they'll pre-negotiate commissions and things like that.
And we're going to see what the Redfin and Zillow are the two main tech real estate giants, and we're going to see what they do. Because their model is based on, so Zillow has, they have the Premier Agent, they have Zillow Flex, which is built off of agents, and obviously Redfin is built off of agents, off of buyers' agents. And, because we're also marketing on Zillow and things of that nature as real estate agents are. So we're going to see, I think they're going to set the market, and the other real estate agents are basically going to have to follow, and we'll kind of see what they do because they have to survive, bro. They have they have shareholders to appease, basically. So
the people getting crushed the most for sure are the first time home buyers because, like you said, like investors or people that have multiple houses, they usually have a lot of money or they're able to come with a lot of down. But here's an idea for you guys: do you think at any point Fannie or HUD will implement financing up to 1%? Of like an agent's commission to help get it done.
I thought about it.
Right? Because think about this, like you need to put 3.5 down, you're going to go FHA. You barely have money to cover closing costs. Now, sure as hell, your buyer's agent isn't going to be able to cover any closing costs because they're barely making money. Does HUD this deal, we'll finance up to 1% to pay for your representation, and you sign an exclusivity for your agent, but now it hurts buyers even more because now not only have you financed the upfront fee of 1.75 of your loan amount, now you finance 1% of the sales price, which on a $500,000 is $5K. So now you're financing 2.25% into your loan. So I think that's a possibility, though, where Fannie or somebody will actually do that. But again, it just screws the borrower. They're just financing more. Yeah. Let's finance this. Let's finance that. You want a child? Let's finance a baby for you. Andrew, you want another kid? I'll finance your kid for you.
Like it's just like you said. It's
you want some clothes? Here, let me finance your clothes for you. I already have credit cards.
Everything is financed.
We were just talking about the Dream for All, and that's an affordability. That's going to help with affordability. That's going to negate the affordability.
It's just like.
And then again,
we have these guys trying to do 1% down conventional.
And actually, that
the guy has no money.
I mean, that could artificially
think about
inflate
that.
homes.
That program's gone. 1% down conventional. It's like, dude, the guy calls you. I have $10,000, but I have really high income.
No, it's still.
It's over.
No.
I'm not working for you for free. Around. No, I'm saying like, how could that even happen when the guy has only 1%? They're already borrowing 2%, like from UWM. The DTI is not the issue because he has a good salary. He has no money saved.
You have to be below the income of the area to use that program.
Yeah, but he has no money to pay for your representation.
Most like you just said, most first-time home buyers don't have money.
They don't have the money. Yeah,
I don't like
the idea. They
can
barely cover their closing costs.
Like
we're already like waiving impounds just to get them to cover. It's like
you're gonna raise somebody's monthly payments so they could have like a representative basically, or
so they can hire
so they can hire a realtor. So they can feel comfortable.
But see, we're talking if there are no homes off, or majority of the homes are offering no compensation. we don't know we don't know what's going to happen come summer.
Well, what if it offers 1%? The realtor's like, I want to do it for 2%, and then Fannie's like, we'll help you finance 1% for that agent. And the agent's like, all right, well, there's my 2%.
That could be a possibility.
Yeah, right. It's like, or HUD,
I don't like financing.
I still kind of don't like it, but I see what you're saying.
But you know, HUD's all about financing everything.
What about cash?
Let's finance your upfront. Let's get
not
the MI.
Not everybody's getting financing. Not everybody's
what
doing
about
HUD.
people buying
Not
cash?
everybody's doing Fannie. There's non-QM. There's hard. It's not like I don't like it.
Well, what's the percentage of people that use a mortgage versus cash?
It's probably got to be. It's
got to be extremely high.
Pretty high. Probably 70%.
So that's the biggest pool right there. But yeah, for the cash
buyers,
buyers,
I'm not. Don't quote me. I have no idea.
For the cash buyers, it's hey, put down a little bit. We need a little bit more cash if you want me to represent you.
Well, another thing they were saying too is what could happen as well, and this goes back to the values. What some agents were saying is, well, what's going to happen is, let's say they're offering 1, and I want another one. Just raise the price. They're going to raise the price. So instead of instead of an $890,000 house, they're going to say, okay, well, let's just call it a day at $895 or $900,000.
I know, but they would have listed it at that price originally if they were already figuring in the buyer's
Are you saying
commission.
basically let's jack up the price to get almost a seller credit to pay for the agent's commission?
Correct.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's absolutely.
I agree.
Happen.
That's 100% going to happen.
But that's what's happening now.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that's already happening. You're saying now it just has to happen after they. So they listed it
Correct.
at 900,
yes.
or they listed it at 800. Now they want 810 to give your realtor 10. But they would have already listed today, or before this lawsuit, they would have already listed it at 810.
Yeah, but it's even worse this way because what Chris is trying to say is like, yeah, let's jack up the price so that I can get paid. But the buyer's like, but there's rot happening on this house.
It is
I need
worse.
$10,000 for a new roof. So now let's jack it up $10,000 for my new roof and credit. Now you want your another $10,000. Let's jack it up. Now the property doesn't appraise. So now I got to come in with $10,000. And now we're back. You know what I mean?
No, the property would have to.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, you jack it up so much, the appraiser's like, well, we're $10,000 short. Oh wait, Chris. Remember the $10,000 that I have to pay now to get my loan? You're now not going to make your $10,000 so that I can close my financing.
No, but the problem is when you're listing your home now, like I said, you're already building in, like when you get a net sheet from escrow, it shows how much you're going to make. It shows all the agent's fees. So you're already building in, and you're looking at comps.
Yeah.
Now this is basically, now what he's doing is artificially inflating the price
We're
of the
just
house.
building more and more.
Most likely
We're builders now, dude. We love builders.
Yeah, anyway,
we're just building and building and financing and financing.
It's going to appraise because, as you guys know, the appraiser has a copy of the purchase agreement.
Correct.
So the appraiser knows, he's not an idiot. He knows what's going on.
Yeah.
He knows he's out there. Unfortunately, sorry to tell you guys that, but he's out there to go get that price. That's literally his job. As long as it makes sense, it's within his legal guidelines.
Because they have a ranking scale like 1 to 5.
Yeah, but when you're talking about a $900,000 home, to get $10,000 is
okay. How about this? How about this?
Not a big deal.
How about this?
On an appraisal, that's nothing.
How about
that's
this?
Like 1%.
How about this? Let's say all the comps are at $800,000. You list your house for $780,000. All right, let's say the comps will support like around $800,000. You list it at $780,000 or something. You get a bidding war. Now the price is at $840,000. And then now you need to build in extra for credit because there's something wrong with the roof, or let's say you want to get your commission. What if where the comps are there, now you're $60,000, $70,000 over? It's not going to appraise.
That's what happened during COVID.
It's not
the same thing. Now you need to take buyers with more cash to bridge appraisal gaps. That's the same thing.
Yeah, which is again it's just like a.
I know, but it's just you're going to take a more qualified buyer. You're not going to take the first timer that only has.
Which again screws first time home buyers, people that actually need the houses, people that
want
actually want to live there themselves and not like lie about occupancy,
not flipping a
not
home
flip it, not adding to his 10th property to his California profile. It's just like it's just crazy, you know. They got to find a way to do fine. I think they'll. I
don't like the financing. I personally,
we're in a country of financing.
What if the Biden thing of the tax credit was something kind of like along those lines?
Biden supposedly is giving a $400. Is that what you're talking about?
400. I thought it was $10,000 tax credit.
What if California is like we have a budget now where every buyer's agent gets 1% from the state of California to represent first-time home buyers? What if they did a massive incentive program to help first-time home buyers only get top-tier representation like California provided that commission?
Again, it's coming from somewhere.
Yeah, it's coming from the state of tax dollars.
I know, it's
At the end of the day, it all comes from the taxpayers, you know?
Yeah, and anyway, like...
Where the hell's the Dream for All program coming from?
Let's kind of like wind down, I guess, wind down this podcast and wind down this subject. But, okay, I just want to, like, really quickly, the winners and the losers of this NAR lawsuit. And I already kind of gave mine, but I'll give mine again. But we'll start with Chris, and then the winners and the losers of the NAR lawsuit. Chris.
Winners is sellers. And I would say losers are first-time home buyer VA buyers. VA veterans and first-time home buyers FHA. Are the losers.
People, yeah, minimum down payments.
I actually think everyone's a loser. I really do. And I think whoever's less of a loser is going to be the sellers. That's what I think. I think everybody loses, and I think sellers lose less. Because like you said, there could...
Winners.
I don't see how there's really any winners. Winners are periodic sellers that take advantage of the situation and made it on top. But there will be sellers that also struggle from this because it affects their days on market. It affects their quality of pool of buyers. It affects how long it... Like, you know what I mean? Everyone's a loser, but less of a loser will be some of those sellers that actually benefited. The guy whose house is so hot, he got away with minimal conditions. He had the perfect buyer. The loan for that buyer went through quickly. Everyone walked away happy. But I think everybody loses in some way or another. You know what I mean? It's like just some people lost a little bit less.
Well, after talking to you guys, and my number one winner, the attorneys.
Oh, yeah.
The attorneys are the number one
winner. Yeah, guys
winner.
didn't think about attorneys, I guess. Yeah, lawyers.
On,
lawyers always end up winning.
Yeah, the lawyers are the number one winners in this NAR lawsuit. I don't know how many attorneys, but man, there's a lot of guys. I talk to a lot of attorneys, and they talk about these type of lawsuits. This is retirement.
Yeah, it's over.
This is retirement for a lot of attorneys. 418. They're talking about.
Why don't they pass a law? Well, let's pass a NAR thing for lawyers. Right? Talk about somebody that can charge like $4,000 an hour for their representation. Lawyers,
and obviously, they're not.
Lawyers make way too much money. They just sit there, they punch paperwork, and they bill you for the rest of your life.
I mean, that's a different subject, but
yeah, let's just attack everyone's careers.
The problem with attorneys these days is AI is going to destroy attorneys. Absolutely destroy.
Did you hear about the bar exam I sent you?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
What is it?
I don't even want to get into it. AI and like technology is destroying a lot of careers and attorneys.
What are like robots taking the bar
now?
No,
I'll tell them real quick. In the state of Washington.
Oh, let me go through my point. Let me finish my point. We're talking about winners and losers in the NAR lawsuit. Again, I mentioned the lawyers thing. That's what got me off topic. But anyway, my number one is the lawyers. They are obviously they're going to make a killing. They're making I'm sure some type of contingency on this or whatever. And the number two winner is sellers, and I do like your point. I do think it's not all sellers.
Yeah.
That's why I also have in my losers bracket, I also have sellers because it's not all sellers are going to win.
Some will get hurt by it for sure. Yeah.
Just the sellers, I talked about it before, but the sellers that are going to lose are, like you said, some of them that have days on market, or they're trying to be cheap asses and not give a commission.
Right.
Or maybe they're just obviously priced too high. Things like that, but that still happens now. It's really the people that don't want to be a commission and are being cheap.
Yeah.
Those are the sellers that are going to lose because they're not going to get the right buyer to get the most value for their house. That's the whole point of an agent, is to get the most money for your house. And then obviously losers is pretty much all buyers, but like we just talked about.
That's the number one loser.
First time home buyers.
The number one for sure.
First time home buyers, and like I said, it's you forget. I know people don't care about the rich, but it's really they don't care about them, but they don't. The high end buyers, they need agents, especially in our upper end areas like the Lagunas and the Newports and the San Clementes, like the nice coastal communities we have here in Orange County. They need representation on the buyer side. You're not selling a $6 million house and going and representing yourself. It's a stupid idea.
No, but going back to what he said real quick, I do see those being able to do 1.5 to 1, because 1.5 or 1 on 3 million or 6
it's
million.
Still $30,000.
It's still a lot.
You save a lot. That's what it'll eventually it'll level out at a very new norm. Right now, as you said, the norm is like 6. I'm more used to 5 with what I see on most of my contracts. The new norm will basically be 4 to maybe 4.5 out the door. I think sellers are also going to probably have to take some losses, right? Is this whole thing, are people sitting there thinking that listing agents are also going to be doing their 3% or not? It's like, no, the listing will do it now for 2. The guy's going to save 1. So the guy that was at 6,
I don't think
now he's at 3. That's what happens.
I don't think listing agents are going to, I think they're going to stay.
Yeah, it's the same.
You think they're going to stay?
Because they're literally, I'm sitting down in your house.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, Arshawn, I'll sell your house for, $100,000.
Well, the guy John across the street said he'd listed for 2%.
But that happens right now already. That's already on the market.
Yeah, but this will give everyone a new negotiation thought.
And by the way,
because apparently the sellers didn't know that they could negotiate. Now with all this happening, it's worldwide news. If I'm selling my house, I'm like, you know what? Why am I paying you 3%? Because Andrew Yanni across the street told me he would do it for 2. He does actually just as much business as you, and I get his flyers as much as you. I'm now starting to think differently now. I'm second guessing the whole economics around my house. My cousin's house you also sold, you screwed him out of 3%.
Yeah, but listing
I'm a
agents,
referral.
I get it.
You know what I mean? So it's going to be 3 out the door, I think, moving forward. Like literally 3 out the door.
But a listing agent comes to your home, usually. I mean, obviously it's done online a lot now, but they usually come to your home. They'll sit with you. They're going to talk about the house, and they represent themselves with value. They give you a value proposition, and that's why I'm worth that amount. And actually, some of the bigger brokerages, there's no negotiation.
Yeah.
Like, this is our price, and we're not a discount shop. So if you want a discount shop, I'm probably not the person for you.
You know what? That's actually a good point, and I actually truly think that will actually affect the bigger brokerages and the boutique brokerages, because you could think you're the best all you want and say, I'm not going to work for cheaper, but guess what? You just lost 20% of your clients for that year, and now your numbers are lower, and now if you ever had any investors or your marketing, everything now has gone down. You fired a couple of people because I'm not willing to budge on price. I think it affects everybody. Name the most top real estate company that does all the biggest listings. If they're like the only ones on the block that are like, we will not discount it, it's like, great, I'm just going to go across the street to literally someone that's just as good as you, and
but I'm
he'll work for
you,
less.
That's what's happening now.
But like, it's going to even more now, because again, people are going to think differently. It's waking people up, especially on the selling side.
I mean, but I don't.
Imagine as a loan officer, I absolutely do not lower my rate. The rate I quote on the phone never goes down. Okay, great, I'm going to go call US Bank. Great, I'm going to go call the broker across the street. Oh, you know what? Actually, send me their loan estimate. Let me go talk to my broker.
I get it, but again,
this
goes back to my point earlier, is the fact that you never see clients.
Yeah. So
you're basically like worth less in their head. If they saw you, they wouldn't shop you as hard, or if they are shopping.
Yeah.
You. I just think that an in-person business transaction is much more difficult to break. Actually, I know that for a fact. It's just human.
Is one of the winners you mentioned, could one of the winners dramatically be people like the Zillows that have the opportunity to not only implement and create this incredible platform?
We'll see. I think we'll know in the next year.
Yeah. I think people like that are the biggest winners.
Redfin's going to figure something out.
Because they're the trendsetters and they're the market movers.
Those
people usually win because they can adapt and they have the pockets. Like us can create that concept, but Zillow's like, hey, we have $1 billion budget for it. Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, I guess let's do final thoughts and we'll wrap up. What do you guys? Market update, rates, the NAR lawsuit.
First rate cut June. We talked about.
May, June, something like that.
June, May,
I think anybody out there, I don't know which camera is supposed to look at for like an audience. I guess that one. If you're thinking about buying a house, really now's the time to buy the house, because as rates get lower, house prices not only will increase because just of rates and financing being more attractive, but the summertime's around the corner. It's always the hottest time in real estate. I think if you have the money, you have the budget. Like you said earlier, my favorite slogan is you marry the house, you date the rate. You're 100% going to be refinancing whatever loan you get, maybe once, maybe twice. By 2026, most people right now will refi their loan possibly 2 times. Talk to your loan officer on your second refinance around. They'll probably be able to cover your closing costs so that you don't add any to the loan. So it's basically like a free refinance. And I know a lot of loan officers will do the business for you now to help you get into the house, and they'll give you credit the next time around as a repeat customer. So don't sit there, don't wait, don't think it's going to get better by the end of the year. It's literally not. The house will be worth more, and you're going to be competing more aggressively. You're not going to have any contingencies, and you're basically just kind of screwing yourself. So that's what I have for people that are buyers. And then for people that are refinancing, honestly, you probably want to wait a couple months for the first or second rate cut.
I would wait till
because anyone that's closing a refi right now is going to hurt in 2 months when the first rate cut gets announced, and they're like, "Shit, I just got locked in at 6.2. It's at like a 5.7." Hypothetically speaking,
wait a little bit.
You're going to be upset, especially your loan officer who gave you bad advice. So refinances, wait. Purchases, do not wait.
Anybody who's thinking that they're just saying that because it's in their best interest. We have many clients the last 3 years that are happy that they bought. Oh my God, I'm so glad. And like looking back, and they thank you. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball, right? We just go with what we know historically. However, there's not enough homes for sale.
Right.
We still are in business. We've been busy. People want to get pre-approved.
Yeah.
They might hold off because the rates got up to 8% or whatever we got to the highs at a certain point.
Yeah.
They might have held back, but that didn't mean they didn't want to buy.
And now they're not. Now they're really aping it. How many clients you get that regretted waiting, and then now they're like, oh, well, this is the new norm now, right? Because there's stability. They go, look, I can't wait any longer. I have either a baby due, or we got to move, or we need to get out of this, or my job's moving. The transactions are heating up right now in real estate.
2 things that'll cause prices to go down. If we have a major job loss, or we get into a bad recession.
Which we're not going to do, because jobs are actually really good right now.
Jobs are still good.
Yeah, everyone you know is working. Everyone in minimum wage going on. Everyone has jobs.
It's a political year. There's no way they're going to allow us to get into recession.
No.
If we start getting to recession, cut.
That's the thing.
They're going to cut so fast.
It's a stimulation year.
There's no way. Absolutely no way. That's the only way prices go down. Rates or interest rates get so high that no home is being able to get bought.
Which they're not going to do.
And it's not going to happen. Yeah, we know that's not going to happen.
And like these stocks and crypto are pumping so hard that people actually have more access to capital now than they did in the last few months. I have a lot of clients selling their stocks, you could have bought in Bitcoin and now it's 3 times the price. You could sell it and put that down as a down payment. So people's bank accounts are actually, anyone you know right now, their bank account is really beefing up. Dude, it went over 70. It actually hit the high of around 74, 75. Yeah. And we're not even at the halving, which I'm digressing, but the halving is happening in April, where every miner gets half of the amount of Bitcoin that they were getting previous. So what happens is supply becomes choked and we're almost out of Bitcoin. So once all 21 million have been completely mined, that's it. Imagine if you knew gold ended. We're still mining gold, but imagine you knew it's done.
I get it.
So the value, they're saying, $100,000, $200,000. So anyone you know right now, their stocks are going up, their Bitcoin, cryptos, everything's going up. So there's more access to capital, meaning, hey, let's put it in alternative investments like real estate and other stuff.
All right, guys. Thank you for that, Rob. I'm going to give my little 2 cents and I'll kind of end it. I mean, so we're ending the quarter. It's now the end of the first quarter of 2024. Obviously, thank you guys for joining us on this podcast. My final thoughts are, number one, April is the month of the Dream for All program with Cal Hafa. So if you guys are one of those people that are really trying to do that program, obviously, you can reach out to me. It'll be on the Cal Hafa website. Call me or reach out to us on our website. We can kind of direct you to the right place. Interest rates, in my honest opinion, I think they're going to hover around the same and drop slightly. I don't think, and there's going to be no major refinance cycle basically that happened during the pandemic. I think they'll tread down slightly, maybe into the 5s in about a year. High 5s, we're in the high 6s right now. And then the last thing is the NAR lawsuit. Like I said in the podcast, I really want to see what's going to happen with Zillow and Redfin because they control data, they control the market, and they have, again, I talked about it, but they have stockholders to appease, and they have to figure something out to make money. Yeah. And they can't be choked. So we're going to see what they do, and they're probably going to set the market along with the Berkshires and the people with like hundreds of the Kellers, the people with thousands and thousands of agents.
You think Redfin could ever just completely get rid of their entire real estate division? You think
all they are is a real estate company, so they can't get rid of real estate.
No, but like division. The fact that they have all these agents on salary, they bought Bay Equity Home Loans, they lost a ton of money buying
that Bay thing was a bad move,
they've lost so much money on that. Why not just go back to
we'll see what they
best,
do. Again, we'll see what they do in the future. But anyway, we've probably we've been on this podcast for a while, guys. So thank you guys for tuning in. Again, it's Chris Gonzalez, Arshawn Ashari. We're at Fast Action Mortgage. Appreciate your time. This was episode number 16. Nice. 16 down. I'm looking.
Are we doing this more often? Are we coming back? Are we doing more like
this is gonna
home
be
team type podcast?
This is going to be. I'm going to try to do a quarterly update for you guys once a quarter. So it'll usually be. The next one will be at the end of June, or end of June, beginning of July-ish.
Nice, after a rate cut that goes down. So we have a lot to talk about.
We'll see, guys.
A couple of things. Taxes are coming up for most people that are W-2.
Yeah.
Don't forget your 1088s for your interest paid in 2023.
Hopefully, if you're self-employed, hopefully you've already filed your extension.
You can deduct,
your 800 was already due.
Most people do.
Yeah.
Don't forget about your deduction from your mortgage if you bought last year. Something to look forward to for those
depreciation. Make sure your accountant knows what they're doing. Yeah.
Somebody could, have the form and give it to their tax guy, or if you do your taxes yourself, why not?
Yeah, I got a guy that just hit me up for his 1098, and I kind of showed him where to log in. But anyway.
Yeah.
Episode 16.
Awesome.
That's a wrap. Thank you guys. Real Estate of Mind podcast. Appreciate it. And until next time. Peace out, y'all. Peace.